Hello everybody, how's everybody doing? So, as you can see, I ordered a lot Godzilla vs. Kong SH Monsterart figures. I just want to use this video to explain why I went so deep on them, because for me, I just believe that this was going to be a good sale. I'm going to explain why I think that this line is going to be really successful. I went deep on them and I'm ordering a lot, as much as I could. So, also, like, comment below if you know why there's an SH Monsterart line and an SH Figureart line, because to me it's like the same company is making somewhat similar figures. Why would they make two lines for the same kinds of figures? So now, hopefully everybody's seen it. I just want to talk about like the ideas behind it, because I had to order these from my distributors, back in January. And yeah, so like back in January, I just went to my distributors and
shut up and take my money.
Whatever, give me as many as you could give me. And I went to all distributors because I was scared that there would be an allocation, because it was 2020. So 2020, it's like who knows what's gonna be canceled, what's gonna be allocated. And so to hedge my bets, I just ordered from all my distributors in a high amount, because hoping that I'd get them as much as I could. So back in January, there was no trailer for Godzilla vs. Kong. Same time, we knew that the movie was coming. We just didn't know if it was going to be good or not, if it would be a big flop, if it would be a craze, if it would be a box office smash, which it ended up happening. But at the time, we didn't know when we were ordering. At the time, collectors always had a choice between choosing between the NECA figures, which were about $30 to $40, and the SH Figureart line, which is $75 and upwards. And so usually people would just choose whichever they prefer. NECAs were slightly bigger, but the other one is a Japanese import, so it's slightly more expensive. In 2020, we found out that NECA in August was going to lose the license for Godzilla, and so their last figures that they'd be able to sell was in August 2020, and with that we'd have no more figures from NECA, and that license was given to Playmates, who would make like the younger kids toys. So now collectors were choosing between really small kids toy, which are like really cheap plastic, or you have the high-end Japanese import. So with that knowledge, it's like, okay, there's only one toy manufacturer really that's for collectors for who wants to collect the Godzilla line, which is the SH Figureart Monster line. Oh yeah, the line's perfectly fine. It's a great line to have. There is no middle ground there, because these are kind of like the high end, and we don't have like a casual to middle class spectrum. So it's only now just the high end. So with that, we're like, okay, fine. It makes our choices easier when we're trying to buy, and if you want to collect Godzilla, you have to go to that one line. So that instantly made me think like, okay, well, I'm going to keep selling Godzilla figures. Since there's only one line, all the money that I would have put in NECA, I'm just going to put it into the SH Figureart Monsterart line. Now, I did go to every distributor and I asked them more allocation, because I was really worried that, here we are in 2020, so who knows what will be canceled, what will be allocated. So even with the figures and toys, we're like, okay, well, I want to make sure that I get Godzilla and Kong, because like I think that this figure can be a hot sellers, as like even if the movie is a flop or not. First of all, I think like people want their Godzilla and they want their Kong, and there's only one place now to get it, so it makes sense that I'll want to have it. At the same time, well, I am a Godzilla fan, so I want those figures too. What if the movie just flopped and nobody wants this? Well, I don't really think that's gonna happen, because well, I wasn't worried about the movie flopping or if it do good or bad, because like Godzilla fans are Godzilla fans, and we just like watching Godzilla and giant monsters fighting. It's
big monster.
So that's like whatever it happens. I think the figures are gonna sell. It's 2020. Things can get allocated. Things can be shortage. I want to hedge my risk, and I want to order as much as I can from every distributor that I have available. Because if I get allocated and they give me a lot less than what I ordered, my pre-order is gonna be in terrible position, and I might not get enough if I put all my eggs in one basket. So I want to get lots of them, and I can't just risk it having one distributor. And there's only one line now to get it from. Why? Because I was worried that there'd be a tight allocation about this, because 2020 issues having allocation. So now we have stuck with no NECA, so there's no competition. So there's only one place there's only one line to collect. B, it's 2020, allocations are very tight, and this is considered the high end. So usually high-end stuff, they're not produced in a very high quantity. Third thing is, well, in a business, you got to take a risk. If the movie does end up being successful, and people are going to want these figures, it's going to be very hard to get a second run, because of 2020 right now, second runs have been taking a lot longer for all toy lines. So any toy line, if there's like a second batch, it usually takes a lot longer to get the second batch than the first batch. If I always looked at the price history of any figure that was from SH Monsterarts, the price tends to be stable. Once once the pre-orders are done, and these figures, they sell out quite quickly because there's not a huge, they don't overproduce these figures. They just produce a certain amount that was pre-ordered, and so if you put in your order on the first few days, or first week or 2 weeks, you're most likely to get your figure, no issues, no problem. But if you wait past the deadline and you're like, oh, I'll just get it like, a month after it's released or something, that's usually a bad idea with the SH Monsterart line, because if you look in, I'm gonna try and put some graphs here, and maybe I can explain and show you that the prices of these figures always go up, and you end up having like a figure from 2 years ago worth twice as much as before. Like the Space Godzilla is worth like $500 now. The Biollante, which got a reprint recently, just in a slightly different color, is back again over 400, 300 US dollars. And so like this line tends to age quite well, and the value of the figures go skyrocketing, and it becomes very hard to get these figures. So I'm like, okay, well, worst case scenario, even if I'm stuck with way too much and the demand's low at the start, people are going to start wanting these figures because they don't overproduce these figures. So you definitely want to keep as much as you can. I'm not really too worried, because like if I have it for one year, and then in 1 year's time these figures are going to be all sold out everywhere else, and I'll still have a bunch of them, and I can still sell them at MSRP or even slightly above MSRP, and I'll be happy with that. So I don't mind. With that, I think like, okay, the risk, what are my risks here? It's like, okay, the movie flops, but the movie flops, this line has been known to do very well over time. So you have a figure that's going to do well over time, whether the movie flops or not. It's kind of a safe bet. There's only one Godzilla manufacturer now. It's 2020, so who knows if 2020 who knows if production's gonna be more limited, and there's gonna be even less of these figures available. So I was like, okay, well, with all the scenarios, it all like comes down to positive effects, like why this thing is gonna do well, and then the risk of like the movie maybe flopping and then hurting the sales. If you're running a business, sometimes you gotta take a bigger risk than usual, because especially when you feel like you have a gut feeling like it's okay. So now we're in this scenario where there's like, okay, there's low supply, there's only one manufacturer, the figures the figures tend to do very good over time. What's my downside? Like maybe the movie flops and the sales are low at the start. It will eventually do sell, because like all the other Godzilla figures I had do eventually sell. I just feel like as a business, sometimes you have to make these decisions where it's like, the business or in life in general, sometimes you're given like a situation where it's like there is a huge potential where you can take a risk, throw your money into something. It's so great, and like the downside, there's always gonna be somebody in the downside telling you like, oh no, you shouldn't throw so much money into this adventure, because the worst case scenario, the movie collapses, nobody buys it, but then they like totally wipe out any chance of success. A lot of people tell you like, oh no, it's 2020, you don't want to be you don't want to be wasting your money and taking these unnecessary risk. But I think like not taking the risk is more risky. The loser's gamble, like, okay, you're just gonna accept defeat, while taking the risk you have a chance of like succeeding. I'm running a toy company, so sometimes you have movies that just bombs, and you're just like dead in the water with like a bunch of peg warmers, and it's like, oh, you just wasted a bunch of money and it's not selling, and you're probably gonna have to sell it on discount, which is like a big fear for any toy store, right? Like no toy store wants to be stuck with dead inventory that they can't even sell at. You don't want to be having a $5 bin like EBDBs and Walfarts and Targaloos. I don't want to miss that potential, because like new clients, new customers, more happy. The risk of not taking the risk, I feel is way too great. If I only order 10 and only 10 customers get it, and it's like, okay, 10 customers are happy, whatever. But then it's like I have there's a bunch of other Godzilla collectors who also want this figure, and now they can't get it, and they would have maybe came to me and discovered my website and have been able to order and been happy. But now I lost that risk because I wanted to be safe, and I didn't want to put my money into something. Wish I did. And I don't want to live with that regret of like, oh, I thought of all of those scenarios, and then I should have just taken the risk, but everybody was telling me perform. We haven't even seen a trailer. But right now I did watch the movie, and it was pretty awesome. So whether you want to be king of monsters or king of toys, you gotta take these big risks. I ordered a bunch of them. They're finally here. I'm gonna put up my pre-order. I'm going to ship out my early pre-orders. So I didn't put up them all in pre-order because I was scared like of allocation and not getting all the figures that I ordered. So I only put like half of them in pre-order. So once I ship out the pre-orders, I'll put the rest available on the website at toystorman.com. So same thing with Mecha Godzilla. I pre-ordered it from all my distributors. I said, you know what, same thing. Give me as much as you can give me. And right now, one of my distributors, I'm not gonna name them. Let's say they're, you know, bronze, because they're definitely not diamond. They definitely allocated me. So I ordered the Mecha Godzilla from one of my distributors, and so like I ordered 12 with them. You know, it's an expensive figure. It's like $150 per figure. So they sent me an email later on, like 2 months ago, like about the allocation. I'm like, okay, sure, allocation. So usually they send a figure like, okay, these are canceled. So like, whatever, this Black Series canceled, this Marvel Legends canceled. Okay, this rerun for Vintage Collection has been canceled. Whatever. Okay, sure. Okay, here's the allocation symbol. Okay, allocation. And I look at it, and it says allocation 6 and then 6. And I'm like, well, I ordered 12, so you're allocating me 6 and 6. Like, yeah. So my allocation, that means you're gonna leave 6 later on? It's like, no, your allocation, we removed 6 and then we moved another 6. I'm like, okay, but I ordered 12. And it's like, yeah, so my allocation is 0. It's like, yeah, so that's not an allocation, that's a cancellation, right? It's like, no, it's an allocation. Like, what do you mean it's an allocation? It's 0. You allocated me 0. That's it blew my mind. I'm like, how is that an allocation? That's literally a cancellation. You just gave me 0 from the 12 I ordered. But whatever, that's what they did. I ordered from two. Thankfully I've ordered also from 2 other distributors. One of them is, you know, direct, so they shouldn't allocate me, or if they do allocate me, they're not going to allocate me to 0, like, you know, Paper Comics. And the other one is usually a very reliable company, so I'm not too worried about them also cutting me down, because they put a set limit, and so I got my order with my rep at set limit. So I'll hopefully, but I'm obviously not putting Mecha Godzilla up on pre-order until it's come in, because already one distributor has given me 0. We'll see what happens. So yeah, I mean, I'm pretty excited, because like, I definitely want to have Godzilla and Kong. I think this is paying off, because people are asking for it now, and I know that like all the big retailers are also out of stock now, and I know I still have some. Don't forget to subscribe.